Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So good morning, everyone. Namaste. Welcome to the celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birthday, his Titi Puja. I will be doing a reading then from his home. Aditya Chaturvedi will be doing the puja. There will be some songs after the reading and during the puja, and then after the puja. So thank you all for coming this morning, being part of this. With that, I will begin the reading. Now, most of you are familiar with the circumstances of Swami Vivekananda's birth, so I'm not going to go over that with in any detail. Just suffice it to say, he was born by the Gregorian calendar, January 12th, 1863. And so we're celebrating today because the lunar calendar, which is the one that is followed for these birthdays, moves around. So today we're celebrating his birthday on January 23rd. This is being done really all over the world. So again, thank you for attending this celebration of the Swami's birth. So I'm going to start with the fact that Swami Vivekananda came as a representative of Sanatana Dharma, the proper name of Hinduism, to the Chicago World's Fair and to the Parliament of World Religions in 1893, September 1893. So I'll begin the reading. After his great success at the Parliament of Religions in September of 1893, Swami Vivekananda, I'm going to call him mainly Swamiji after this, Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji, toured many parts of the U.S. His popularity offered the opportunity to speak on life and religion to what were often large, enthusiastic, and curious audiences. Major newspapers of the day loved to run stories on Vivekananda. They had plenty to write about. His relentless schedule of talks, classes, and informal gatherings with society's elite earned Swamiji the title that cyclonic monk from India. That cyclonic monk from India. So very His schedule was unbelievable if you look at the record of where he spoke and when he spoke and how many times he spoke. That cyclonic monk from India. For example, a story in the Brooklyn Standard said, his was the voice of the ancient rishis of the Vedas, speaking sweet words of love and toleration. His was the voice of the ancient rishis of the Vedas, speaking sweet words of love and toleration. The New York Critique wrote, he is an orator by divine right, and his strong, intelligent face, in its picturesque setting of yellow and orange, was hardly less interesting than those earnest words and the rich, rhythmical utterance he gave them. This is just a tiny sample of what was written in the newspapers and all across the United States. St. Louis, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle. The Swami was well known because of his tremendous popularity at the Parliament. He was well known because reporters were there from all over the United States, of course. At that Parliament, it was the first of its kind. By early 1895, weary after nearly 2 years of touring, Swamiji was grateful to find refuge at Thousand Island Park in upstate New York. He was invited there in the summer of 1895 by Mary Dutcher, an artist who had attended his classes in New York City. The park was a place that encouraged the exchange of ideas. Residents had created a setting that was friendly to contemplation and relaxation. It had already attracted such nationally known leaders as Susan B. Anthony and Frederick Douglass. Yet Swamiji's experience of the park became significant in a very different way. Early in his stay there, in June, for the second time in his life, he entered Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the state of full God realization, Brahmagyana. The first time was in India in 1886. At Kashipur, near Kolkata, at Kashipur, near Kolkata, a group of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples was providing round-the-clock care for the master during his last illness. Narendra, the man who later became Swami Vivekananda, was their leader. After many years, in 1898, Swamiji told this story to Swami Sardananda, his brother disciple. Quote, one day in the Kashipur garden, I had expressed my prayer to Sri Ramakrishna with great earnestness. Then in the evening, at the hour of meditation, I lost the consciousness of the body and felt that I was absolutely non-existent, that it, the body, and the I associated with it, was absolutely non-existent. I had nearly merged in the Supreme, but I had just a trace of ego, and I had just a trace of the feeling of ego, so I could again return to the world of relativity from the Samadhi. After that experience, even after trying repeatedly, I failed to bring back the state of Samadhi. On informing Sri Ramakrishna about it, he said, if you remain day and night in that state, the work of the Divine Mother will not be accomplished. Therefore, you won't be able to induce that state again. When your work is finished, it will come again. End of quote. So what Sri Ramakrishna said was, if you remained day and night in that state of samadhi, the work of the Divine Mother will not be accomplished. Therefore, you won't be able to induce that state again. When your work is finished, it will come again. The Master told Narendra that when it did come a second time, he could then leave the world at will. But as we know, Swamiji did not go. He finished his retreat at Thousand Island Park, then stayed with us for another 7 years until July 4th, 1902. So he had this second experience, this second state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi in June of 1895, and did not leave the body until July 4th, 1902, 7 years later. Most of those last 7 years were spent continuing his work here in the West. On February 2nd, 1896, we get a glimpse of why Swamiji stayed. As a guest of the Brooklyn Ethical Association, Swamiji gave his famous lecture, The Atman. Toward the end of this talk, Swamiji paraphrases the Upanishads, saying, "He who in this world of many sees the one, he who in this mass of inconsistency, he who in this mass of insentiency sees the one sentient being, he who in this world of shadows catches that reality, unto him belongs eternal peace, unto none else, unto none else." During the question and answer period, a reporter said that Hinduism was not normally thought of as a proselytizing religion. After a moment's reflection, Swamiji replied, "I have a mission to the West, as Buddha had a mission to the East." I have a mission to the West, as Buddha had a mission to the East. As we know, this mission's results have been handed down to us. They make up most of the 9 volumes published as Swami Vivekananda's complete works. So if you want to read the results of Swamiji's mission to the West, you can read the lectures that he gave, the talks that he gave, and the classes that he gave, and the letters that he wrote while he was here in the West. It's all collected in Swamiji's complete works. Any of you who don't have a copy of the complete works and would like to have a PDF copy, just send me an email. I'll email you a PDF copy of Swamiji's complete works. Swami Yogeshananda, the founder of this center, the Vedanta Center of Atlanta, Swami Yogeshananda wrote, quote, "Swamiji fell in love with America. He said it was where his heart was, and he loved the Yankee land, as he called it. He said he liked to see new things, not the old ruins of Europe. He felt that America was the place, the people, and the opportunity for everything. He may have upset some people in London when he said, 'The American civilization is, in my opinion, a very great one. I find the American mind peculiarly susceptible to new ideas. Nothing is rejected because it is new. It is examined on its merits. I find the American civilization is, in my opinion, a very great one. I find the American mind peculiarly susceptible to new ideas. Nothing is rejected because it is new. It is examined on his merits. Swamiji told people in Calcutta, America is where, more than anywhere else, the feeling of brotherhood has been developed. An American meets you for 5 minutes on board a train, and you are his friend. And the next moment, he invites you as a guest to his home, and he opens his whole home to you. He said of American women, their kindness to me, it would take me years to tell. They are the life and soul of this country. I could never repay my debt of gratitude toward them. He said of American women, their kindness to me, it would take me years to tell. They are the life and soul of this country. I could never repay my debt of gratitude to them. Yet, as we can see from this incident, Swamiji intended to try. In February of 1890, he told an American devotee in San Francisco, you see, I have to take birth again. Why, Swamiji? Asked the devotee. Because, he replied, I have fallen in love with human beings. In February of 1900, Swamiji told an American devotee in San Francisco, you see, I have to take birth again. Why, Swamiji? Asked the devotee. Because, he replied, I have fallen in love with human beings. Swamiji's contributions to the intellectual and spiritual thought currents of this nation, which continue to transform us, have not gone unnoticed. For example, during the celebration of America's bicentennial in 1976, Swami Vivekananda was honored by the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. They published a book titled Abroad in America. It recognized Swamiji as one of 27 visitors from abroad who, during the nation's first 200 years, made a lasting impact on our young nation. Quote, at the Parliament of Religions, the Swami charmed audiences with his magical oratory, and he left an indelible mark on America's spiritual development. In January of 2013, many prestigious organizations and publications, of course, it was the 150th anniversary of Swamiji's birth. In February of 2013, many prestigious organizations and publications took special note of that birth anniversary. For example, the BBC broadcast a short documentary on Vivekananda Retreat Ridgely, the place where Swamiji spent a total of 14 weeks during his 2 stays in the West. It was at that time called Ridgely Manor. It's now called Vivekananda Retreat Ridgely. The BBC broadcast a short documentary on Vivekananda Retreat Ridgely, along with a feature on Swamiji. Here's an excerpt from the show's introduction by Emily Buchanan, BBC World Affairs correspondent. This was published January 18th, 2013. Quote, few in the West have heard of Swami Vivekananda. who was born 150 years ago this week. Yet this Bengali intellectual, still revered in India, introduced many people in the West to yoga and meditation. The crunch of car tires on gravel, the heavy smell of an imminent thunderstorm, swaying elm trees, random childhood memories of my grandmother's house, Ridgely, in upstate New York. I also dimly remember casual references to a Swami. Oh, that was Swami's sofa. And the end room, that is where Swami used to sleep. Now, these notes are posted online, and there is a link to that BBC video that you'll be able to click on if you wish to see it. I mentioned prestigious publications. The New York Times and Wall Street Journal are two of America's most widely read newspapers. In January of 2013, both ran two-page spreads, 2 pages, two-page spreads in the print newspaper on Swamiji. The Journal's headline read, "What did J.D. Salinger, Leo Tolstoy, and Sarah Bernhardt have in common?" The answer, provided in the story, of course, was the influence of Swami Vivekananda. Now, as you know, we could go on and on about Vivekananda, but we'll leave it there. I'll just give you this footnote about Thousand Island Park and Swamiji's experience there. Swamiji's thoughts and teachings at Thousand Island Park were transcribed at that retreat in 1895, and Swamiji's thoughts and teachings at that retreat were transcribed and later published as inspired talks by the Ramakrishna Vivekananda Center of New York. In their introduction, they wrote, "This book is a compilation. This book is a compilation of ideas that married the East and the West, and which joined the spirituality of Ramakrishna with Vivekananda's own deep concern for the political freedom and material well-being of humanity." And so that is what we celebrate today. Swami Vivekananda joining the spirituality of his master, Sri Ramakrishna. And by the way, Swamiji's short talk, My Master, is published in that book, Inspired Talks. So joining the spirituality of his master, Sri Ramakrishna, with his own deep concern for the political freedom and material well-being of humanity. These thoughts, these feelings, this deep current continue to work in the world today. Many people have felt the presence of Vivekananda, the tangible presence of Vivekananda. He said before he left the body in 1902, "I shall be more effective without this body, without this impediment." And as I said, many people have felt his tangible, physical presence in the years since then. Particularly at such places as Vivekananda House, the place where he stayed for 6 weeks in South Pasadena, California, and of course at Vivekananda Retreat Ridgely in mid-state New York. So with that, I will invite Aditya to begin the puja, and I'll do a few things with the shrine here also. So again, thank you for attending. Thank you for being part of this. It uplifts all of humanity. This is the belief. It uplifts all of humanity for us to hold thoughts of Vivekananda, his teachings, and his immeasurably great spirit. Jai Swamiji.
Namaste, everybody. And good wishes on Swamiji's Sthiti Puja. So, without much ado, I'll just begin the puja. I know like you cannot see the altar pretty well, but I'm sure you can feel it. So, on that note, we begin. Mangalam Varenyam Varadam Shubham Narayanam Namaskritya Sarvapam Pitavasam Karamve Karmana Vipram Dharim Madhavo Madhavo Bhashi Madhavo 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 Madhavam Om Shuklam Vardharam Vishnum Chatuvarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhanye Sarvavigno Shantaye. Om Vishnu, 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 Om Vishnu. Om Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah Diviva Chakshuratatam Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavasthangato Piva Yasmare Pundari Kaksham Sabhagyabhyantara Shuchihi. Om Devi Tat Prakritam Chittam Papa Krantan Bhunmama Tanni Saraya Chintan Me Papam Hum Pachate Namaha. Om Surya Somo Yama Kala Mahabhutani Panchacha Ete Shubha Shubhebhyasya Karmano Navasakshinah. So having performed initial purificatory rituals, I will begin with purifying the water that would be used for the puja. Om Bhat. Om Ete Gandha Pushpe Adhar Shakta Dibho Namaha. Namo 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 Namo. Om Gange Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalismin Sannidhim Kuru. ॐ द्वारदेवताभ्यो नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे द्वारदेवताभ्यो नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे ब्रह्मणे नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे वास्तुपुरुषाय नमः। ॐ Om Raksha Raksha Hum Fat Swaha. Now we worship Mother Earth, requesting her to be our seat for this puja. Om Hrim Ete Gandha Pushpe Adhara Shaktadibhyo Namaha. Om Asyasanopaveşana Mantrasya Meru Prishta Rishihi Sutalam Chandha Kurmo Devata Asanopaveşane Viniyogaha. Om Prithvi Tvayadhrita Lokaha Devi Tvam Vishnu Nadhrita Tvam Chadharayamam Nityam Pavitram Kuruchasanam. Om Hrim Ete Gandha Pushpe Adhara Shaktaye Kamalasanaye Namaha. Om Aim Gurubhyo Namah Aim Param Gurubhyo Namah Aim Parapara Gurubhyo Namah Om Parameshti Gurubhyo Namah Om Ganeshaya Namah Om Vam Vivekanandaya Namah. Om Shatabhisheka Hum Fat Swaha. Om Shatabhisheka Hum Fat Swaha. Om Shatabhisheka Hum Fat Swaha. Om Pushpe Pushpe Mahapushpe Supushpe Pushpa Sambhave Pushpe Chayavati Necha Hum Fat Swaha. Om Amain Amain Mam Kamain Kam Chamain Cham Tamain Tam Tamain Tam Pamain Kam Yamain Yam Shamain Sham. Ram 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 Ram. Om Am Hum Fat Swaha. Am Hum Fat Swaha. Am Hum Fat Swaha. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah. Om Bhuta Shringata Chiraha Sushumna Pathena Jiva Shivam Parama Shiva Pade Yojayami Swaha. Om Yam Linga Shariram Shoshaya Shoshaya Swaha. Om Ram Sankocha Shariram Daha Daha Swaha. Om Parama Shiva Sushumna Pathena Mula Shringata Mulla Sola Sajwala Jwala Prajwala Prajwala Soham Hamsava Swaha. Am Hum Fat Swaha. Am Hum Fat Swaha. Am Hum Fat Swaha. Am Green Krom Yam Ram Lam Sham Sam Hom Ham Sah Shri Vivekananda Shri Vivekananda Devataya Prana Ya Prana. Am Green Krom Yam Ram Lam Sham Sam Hom Ham Sah Shri Vivekanandaya Jiva Yastitah ओम आं ह्रीं क्रों यं रं लं शं सं होमं षष्ठी विवेकानंद देवतायाः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि ओम आं ह्रीं क्रों यं रं लं शं सं होमं षष्ठी विवेकानंद देवतायाः वाङ्मनश्चक्षुत्वक्षोत्रघ्राणप्राणह्यागत्य सुरं चिरं तिष्ठन्तु स्वाहा ओम अस्य मातृका मंत्रस्य ब्रह्म ऋषि गायत्री छन्दः देवी मातृका सरस्वती देवता हलो बीजानि स्वराः शक्तया व्यक्तकीलकं सर्वाभीष्ट सिद्धये लिपिन्यासे विनियोगः ओम ब्रह्मणे ऋषये नमः ओम गायत्री छन्दसे नमः ओम देवी मातृका सरस्वती नमः ओम हलभ्यो बीजेभ्यो नमः ओम स्वरेभ्यो शक्तिभ्यो नमः ओम अव्यक्तकीलकाय नमः अंगुष्ठाभ्यां नमः ऐं चं 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 ईं तर्जनीभ्यां स्वाहा ओम टं 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 मध्यमाभ्यां वश ऐं तं 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 नमः मयि मनामिकाभ्याम् ओम पं 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 मम मम कनिष्ठाभ्यां वशटं यं रं नमः शं नं शं महा करतलभिष्टाभ्याम् अस्त्राय फट् ओम हृदयाय नमः ऐं चं 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 ईं चक्षुषे स्वाहा ओम टं 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 नमो शिखाय वश ऐं तं 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 नमः मयि मनामि कवचाय ओम ओम पं 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 मम मम कनिष्ठाभ्यां वश त्रिनेत्राभ्यां वश ओम यं रं नमः शं शं महा करतलभिष्टाभ्याम् अस्त्राय फट् ओम ऐं फट् ओम ऐं फट् ओम ऐं फट्. Now, having purified all the objects with which we worship today, I will first make an offering to Sun God. Om Namo Vivasvate Brahman Bhasvate Vishnu Tejase Jagat Savitre Shuchaye Savitre Karmadayine Om Eshwaryah Shri Suryaya Namaha Om Japa Kusuma Sankasham Kashyapeyam Mahaditim Dhvantarim Sarva Papaghnam Pranatosmi Divakaram. Now we make offering, we worship the Gurus. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om ऐं निशगन्धः श्री गुरवे नमः ओम ऐं इदं सचन्दन पुष्पं श्री गुरवे नमः ओम ऐं ओम ओम ऐं ओम ऐं ईश इदं ओम इदं आननैवेद्यं श्री गुरवे नमः ओम ऐं इदं पानीयोदकं श्री गुरवे नमः ओम ऐं इदं आचमनीयोदकं श्री गुरवे नमः ओम ईश सचन्दन पुष्पाञ्जलिः श्री गुरवे नमः ओम अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे गणेशादि पंचदेवताभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्प ओम नमः शिवाय एते गन्धपुष्पे शिवाय नमः ओम नमो नारायणाय एते गन्धपुष्पे नारायणाय नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे सूर्याय नमः ओम ह्रीं एते गन्धपुष्पे जयदुर्गायै नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे आदित्यादि नवग्रहेभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे मत्स्यादि दशावतारेभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे काल्यादि दशमहाविद्याभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे इन्द्रादि दशदिक्पालेभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे सर्वेभ्यो देवेभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे सर्वाभ्यो देवीभ्यो नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे राम रामचन्द्राय नमः ओम एते गन्धपुष्पे साम सीतायै नमः ॐ क्रीमीति गन्धपुष्पे कृष्णाय गोपीजनवल्लभाय नमः। ॐ रामीति गन्धपुष्पे राधायै नमः। ॐ इति गन्धपुष्पे पंचाशत् वर्णेभ्यो नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे प्रतिपदादि तिथिभ्यो नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे कृष्णपक्षाय नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे शुक्लपक्षाय नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे अमावस्यायै नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे पूर्णिमायै नमः। ॐ एते गन्धपुष्पे सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय श्रीरामकृष्णाय नमः। ॐ ऐं ह्रीं एते गन्धपुष्पे सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपिण्ये श्री शारदा देव्यै नमः। Now we will meditate on Swamiji in our hearts, and because as I've said this at several pujas, that puja is both internal and external. So first we perform the internal puja. We invoke the deity in our hearts and then request the deity who is ever present in our heart to be present outside so that they can receive our worship with items like water, etc. So we will meditate on Swamiji, and in this mantra, he is invoked as the Acharya, the teacher of the world, who was born of Vireshwar. So as the story goes, like his mother had worshipped Vireshwar Shiva in Varanasi. So that is made a reference to, and he was one of the Saptarshis. And he's invoked as the repository of light, a Jyoti Punjaha. So we meditate on such Swamiji. Om Vam Angushtabhyam Namah, Vam Angushtabhyam Namah, Vam Tarjinibhyam Swaha, Vam Madhyamabhyam Vashatmai, Anamikabhyam Vam Kanishtabhyam Vaushadvaha, Karatal Vishnabhyam Astrayapad, Vam Hridayaya Namah, Vim Shri Swaha, Vam Shikhai Vashatmai, Kavachaya Vam Netratrayaya Vaushadvaha, Karatal Vishnabhyam Astrayapad. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah, Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah, Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namah. ॐ विश्वाचार्यं जगद्वन्द्यं विवेकानन्दरूपिणं वीरेश्वरात् समुत्पन्नं सप्तर्षिमण्डलागत ज्ञानभक्तिप्रदातारं पद्माक्षगौरविग्रहं ध्यायेद्देवं ज्योतिपुञ्जं लोककल्याणकारिणम्। ललितपद्मासनं दद्यात् सहस्राराचितामृतैः पाद्यं चरणयोर्दद्यात् मनस्वर्घ्यं निवेदयेत् तेनामृतेन आचमनीयं स्नानीयं तेन च स्मृतम् आकाशतत्त्वं वस्त्रं स्यात् गन्धः स्यात् गन्धतत्त्वकं चित्तं प्रकल्पयेत् पुष्पं धूपं प्राणान् प्रकल्पयेत् तेजस्तत्त्वं च दीपार्थं नैवेद्यं स्वधाम्बुधिः अनाहतध्वनिर्घण्टा वायुतत्त्वं च चामरं सहस्रारं भवेत् छत्रं शब्दतत्त्वं च गीतकं नृत्यमिन्द्रियकर्माणि चाञ्चल्यं मनस्तथा सुमेखला पद्ममालां पुष्पं नानाविधं तथा अमायाद्यैर्भावपुष्पैरर्चयेत् भावगोचरम् अमायामनहङ्कारं मरागममदं तथा अहिंसा परमं पुष्पं पुष्पमिन्द्रियनिग्रहः दया पुष्पं क्षमा पुष्पं ज्ञान पुष्पं च पंचमम् इति पंचदशैर्भाव पुष्पैः सम्पूजयेत् शिवम्। ॐ ह्रीं एते गन्धपुष्पे पीठदेवताभ्यो नमः। ॐ ह्रीं एते गन्धपुष्पे पीठशक्तिभ्यो नमः। ॐ वामङ्गुष्ठाभ्यां नमः, वीं तर्जनीभ्यां स्वाहा, ॐ मध्यमाभ्यां वषट्मैः नामिकाभ्यां ताभ्यां वषट्मः करतलभिष्टाभ्याम् अस्त्राय फट्। ॐ वां हृदयाय नमः, वीं शिरसे स्वाहा, ॐ शिखाय वषट्मैः कवचाय, ॐ वां नेत्रत्रयाय वः करतलभिष्टाभ्याम् अस्त्राय फट्। ॐ ऐं विवेकानन्दाय नमो, ऐं विवेकानन्दाय नमो, ऐं विवेकानन्दाय नमः। Om Vishwacharyam Jagatvandyam Vivekananda-rupinam Veereshwarat Samutpannam Saptarshi Mandalagata Jnana Bhakti Pradataram Padmaksha Gaura Vigraham Dhyayedevam Jyotipunjam Loka Kalyana Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namaha. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namaha. Om Aim Vivekanandaya Namaha. Now, having invoked the presence of Swamiji here, I will make offering of 10 offerings of 10 items, beginning with water to wash his feet, then something which is called arghya, which is an offering of welcoming to welcome the guest, and then achman, which is another form of water for rinsing mouth and washing hands, and then water to bathe, then sandal paste, flowers, incense, light, lamp that is, and then the offering of food. So, um, so this is how we are going to make the offerings and do the puja today. ॐ ऐं एतत्पाद्यं विवेकानन्दाय नमः। ॐ ऐं ईश्वर्यः विवेकानन्दाय नमः। ॐ ऐं इदम् आचमनीयोदकं विवेकानन्दाय नमः। ॐ ऐं इदम् ॐ ऐं निशगन्धः विवेकानन्दाय नमः। ॐ ऐं इदं च चन्दनपुष्पं विवेकानन्दाय नमः। ॐ So now I'm going to make the offering of food and fruits here. So as you sit there, you have to meditate, thinking that Swamiji is accepting our offerings, and these offerings I read somewhere are like, there is a there's a norm that like one must offer at least 4 to 5 fruits, and similarly food items also, and they all signify the four fruits of uh, the four goals of human existence, the purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And then there is like the fifth one, which is either bhakti or something, something which is beyond that. So we are offering everything to the deity as we make these offerings today. ॐ ऐं इदं सोपकरणनैवेद्यं ॐ ऐं इदं सोपकरणन् अन्ननैवेद्यं श्रीविवेकानन्दाय नमः वमेतस्मै सोपकरण अन्ननैवेद्याय नमः वमेतस्मै सोपकरण अन्ननैवेद्याय नमः वमेतस्मै सोपकरण अन्ननैवेद्याय नमः यं ॐ ऐं इदं सोपकरणनैवेद्यं विवेकानन्दाय निवेदयामि ॐ अमृतोपस्तरणमसि स्वाहा ॐ प्राणाय स्वाहा ॐ अपानाय स्वाहा ॐ उदानाय स्वाहा ॐ व्यानाय स्वाहा ॐ समानाय स्वाहा ॐ अमृतपिधानमसि स्वाहा ॐ ऐं पानाटोदकं विवेकानन्दाय स्वधा ॐ ऐं इदं ताम्बूलं विवेकानन्दाय नमः I will make a flower offering on all of us, behalf. ॐ वमेश सचन्दन पुष्पाञ्जलिः विवेकानन्दाय भूषण ॐ गुह्याति गुह्य गोप्रत्वं गृहाण स्मत्कृतं जपं सिद्धिर्भवतु मे देव त्वत्प्रसादान् महेश्वरः। ॐ परतत्त्वे सदा लीनो रामकृष्ण समाज्ञया यो धर्मस्थापनरतो वीरेशं तं नमाम्यहम्। ॐ इति गन्धपुष्पे श्रीमद्विवेकानन्दादि रामकृष्ण पार्षदेभ्यो नमः। ॐ ऐं इति गन्धपुष्पे ॐ ऐं इति गन्धपुष्पे सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय श्रीरामकृष्णाय नमः। ॐ ऐं ह्रीं इति गन्धपुष्पे सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपिण्ये श्री शारदा देव्यै नमः। ॐ एषा सचन्दन पुष्पाञ्जलिः साङ्गाय साभरणाय सशक्तिकाय सपार्षदाय सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय श्रीरामकृष्णाय वौषट्। ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। यथाग्निर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हि या सर्वविद्यां स्वरूपां तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। Now it's time for Aarti, and ॐ इदं नीराजनीयं श्रीविवेकानन्दाय निवेदयामि। वमितस्मै नीराजनाय नमः। वमितस्मै नीराजनाय नमः। वमितस्मै नीराजनाय नमः। ॐ इति गन्धपुष्पे इदं नीराजनाय नमः। ॐ इदं नीराजनाय विवेकानन्दाय नमः। So as I perform the Aarti, I will sing a song that was composed by Sri Sharatchandra Chakravarti, who was one of the disciples, one of the late disciples, I must say, of Swamiji, and an excellent Sanskrit scholar as well. So the song is in Sanskrit and describes Swamiji as manifest great Lord Maheshwara. So Murta Maheshwaram Ujjvala Bhaskara. don't know what to do, but if anybody wants to read that. So with this, we conclude today's puja. I'll just say final pranam mantras again. Om Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha yathagnirdaahika shakti Ramakrishne sthita hiya sarva vidyam swarupam tam saradam pranamamyaham Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Swaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine.
Cindy, are you ready to play that song by John Schlink?
I was unable to find it. I don't have it ready.
Okay, well then I'll just sing this song. I'll just preface it by saying, as was mentioned earlier, Swamiji gave a famous lecture called the Atman. This song is based in the ideas that he talks about in that talk. Most of us are afraid of this world we've made, with its yes and no's and karma's blows and temptation's parade. We say it's hard and mean, a heart attack machine, but you can't scare me, I'm sticking with the Atman, believing in the Atman, sticking with the Atman. No, you can't scare me, I'm sticking with the Atman, and I shall never die. This Kali Yuga's rough, each day can be tough. Here's a homeless man in horrible pain. I think I've said enough. I know it's hard and mean, a heart attack machine, but you can't scare me, I'm sticking with the Atman, believing in the Atman, sticking with the Atman. No, you can't scare me, I'm sticking with the Atman, and I shall never die. Some folks are afraid to die, maybe this is why. They never heard these loving words as they were sighed for them. Sure, it's hard and mean, a heart attack machine, but it can't scare you if you're sticking with the Atman, believing in the Atman, sticking with the Atman. No, it can't scare you if you're sticking with the Atman, and you will never die. No, you will never die. And we shall never die. Om Hari Om. So, dears, this concludes our celebration of Swami Vivekananda's birth, at least as a formal ceremony. Of course, all of us will hold in our hearts that Vivekananda is just behind the curtain, so to speak, as Sri Ramakrishna said to Holy Mother when she was feeling her widowhood when Sri Ramakrishna left the body. He said, "Why are you weeping? I haven't gone anywhere. I'm just in the next room. I'm just behind the curtain." And so this is also true of Swami Vivekananda. Let us hold that in our hearts, and as we read Swamiji's work, his talks, his classes, his letters, as all published in his complete works, we feel this tremendous spirit of love and compassion, as it's said in the evening hymn, which Swami Vivekananda wrote about Sri Ramakrishna. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. Well, of course, the same is true of Swami Vivekananda. Sri Ramakrishna invited him to join him in this great spiritual wave, this great current of spirituality that flowed into the earth and is continuing to transform us now. So Jai Swamiji, Jai Swamiji, Jai Sri Ramakrishna, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji. Is there anything anyone else would like to say, anything you'd like to add from your own wisdom or experience, or any question you'd like to raise?
You have inspired me again to start coordinating a trip to Thousand Island Park. We know it was in June of 1895 that the Swami experienced his second samadhi. Do we know the exact date?
It's in Inspired Talks, I believe. I don't remember it. Thank you, Brahmadas, for the question. Shailesh.
Namaste, brother.
Yes, was there something?
No, I just wanted to say it was beautiful and wonderful service.
Yes.
For
Thank you.
Aditya, and so nice.
Thank you, as always, Aditya, for your great heart, your expertise, and your bringing them together and offering these pujas, because we feel them. We feel them.
Yeah, and I was missing to be in the center, but after this puja, I feel like we are right here with his voice so clear and just beautiful.
Well, the Zoom technology, for those of you who don't know, Shailesh Pawar is the president of our board of trustees. And so we're always glad to hear from him. Aditya just told me yesterday that if his plans go as he wishes, he will be in India on February 8th. He leaves next week if his plans mature. And so our worship of Swami Brahmananda will be done informally, as the little worship was done here today. But with what is said coming from here rather than from Aditya. We'll miss him, of course, but we wish him well on his. It's been a couple of years since he's been home, and we wish him well. So,
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? All right, dears. Well, with that, we'll close. Yes. Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji, Jai Raja Maharaj. Raja Maharaj, Swamiji and Raja Maharaj were born as Narendranath Datta and Rakal Chandra Ghosh, 9 days apart in 1863, January 12th and January 21st. So the lunar birthday of Rakal is February the 8th or thereabouts, but that's when we'll celebrate it. Next week, there will be a talk on modern masters of Advaita, the last talk of this month's talking on Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual path. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe, may we be healthy, may we be cheerful, may we have peace of mind. May we go forward in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Father and Mother. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto us and to all beings everywhere. See you again soon. Jai, Jai, Jai.
Thank you so much.